zero. Good evening, everybody. I am proud. I have never dreamed of this opportunity. I have with me the one and only, the famous, the Julian Assange of the Armenian cause, the one and only Mr. Lapshin. How are you, Mr. Lapshin?
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. This is a great honor for me to interview such a freedom fighter. And I want to start. I think that Mr. Lapshin maybe is more concerned and cares more about the Armenian cause maybe than so many of our politicians. I do remember years ago, Lapshin warned the Armenians not to let go of Artsakh in any way because that would undermine and place Armenia in a great jeopardy and danger and threats. And obviously, that is what is taking place, unfortunately, now. Why did you advise us? And what is the situation of Armenia from your analysis point, please?
Let me start from the beginning. First of all, my situation is very awkward because I have nothing to do with both Armenia and Azerbaijan or Turkey. I was born in Russia, in Soviet Union. I was a travel blogger. I'm not politician. I'm not human rights activist. I have nothing to do with.
But still, you analyze more realistically than most of the Armenian politicians who today think that Artsakh was a burden. Please go ahead.
Yes. But the question is, fortunately or unfortunately?
Unfortunately.
Yes. So just for your subscribers who don't know my case, so just in brief. So just 10 years ago, I was a successful travel blogger. I visited almost 160 countries of the world, almost all the countries of the world, except a few countries in Central Africa. Most of the world already visited. So one of the places I visited was Artsakh, which called in Soviet Union Nagorno-Karabakh. So I spent there like 3 days. I rented a car in Yerevan airport like most of the tourists. So I was traveling around Armenia, Republic of Georgia, and plus Artsakh. This happened at 2011, which means 14 years ago. So it was a really interesting trip. I visited many interesting places like nature and churches, and I tried different cuisine, different foods. I met with the people in Artsakh, in both Artsakh and Armenia. I really enjoyed my trip. But then I continued my normal life. I visited like maybe 50 countries more. And in December 2016, so after 5 years, I was suddenly arrested in the Republic of Belarus in request of Azerbaijan because of my visit to Artsakh 5 years before. It was really, strange and amazing because I couldn't expect such a kind of development because I will tell you again, I'm not a politician. I'm not a fighter for independence of Artsakh because I'm not Armenian. So, okay, I'm a journalist, but still I'm not Armenian. And I was the first person to be arrested because of my visit to Artsakh. And I'm not the most famous person. There were like congressmen and politicians from France and Germany and from Lebanon, from Egypt, from Japan, from many countries, politicians and human rights activists and journalists. And I'm the only person who was arrested. So I was extradited from Belarus to Azerbaijan by the decision of President Lukashenko of Belarus. It was kind of agreement between two dictators, Lukashenko and Aliyev of Azerbaijan. So I was taken from Belarus to Azerbaijan by personal jet of President Aliyev. It was like in the movies. I could see such kind of planes in the movies only. And then I spent 7 months in Azeri jail. Actually, the same jail where the Armenian prisoners of the war held, including Ruben Vardanyan and Bako Saakyan and or else David Babayan, and like simple Armenian soldiers. They keep them in the same jail where I spent 7 months. So the name of the jail is Kurdakhani. It's like 10 kilometers northeast of city of Baku. And it was a really horrible experience because so it was really bad I felt like, first of all, I was the only foreigner in this jail. So all of the people, there were like 4,000 prisoners in the jail. 99% of them were Azeris, except of me. I was alone. So today they have between 30 and 40 Armenians in this jail. But then it was almost 8 years ago. It was only for a foreigner. So I experienced a lot of hatred towards me. So they told me, Allahu Akbar, we will kill you, we will find your wife, we will, rape your daughter, different horrible things. It's more like, I don't know, Daesh or something. I felt like I'm in a Daesh or Taliban in Afghanistan, something like that. And I am just I'm simple travel blogger. I'm not a politician. So they asked me to plead guilty. First of all, to plead guilty. They took me to the court, city court of Baku, of grave crimes, and they told me, you have to plead guilty that you're Armenian spy.
Yes.
It was really funny. It's really funny, but it's kind of horrible joke, terrible joke. To plead guilty to the Armenian spy, and they told me I have to say in the court that Karabakh is Azerbaijan, and then they promised me, in case you will be ready to cooperate with us, we will let you go home. And I was just alone, so for about 2-3 months I was deprived of any visits by my lawyer, so I couldn't meet with my family. I asked them to call home, but I was refused. And I was held in a small cell, like 3 meters on 3 meters, solitary confinement. I was just alone in this cell. No windows, just walls. And toilet is just a hole in the concrete.
Just like the movies.
Yes. So in order to make me feel bad, so they didn't provide me even the toilet paper or water. So it's hygienical conditions were really bad, and food was bad. So within a couple of months, I lost like 15-20 kilos. And basically, I can't say I am not Rambo. So of course I told them, okay, guys, if you want me to say Karabakh is Azerbaijan, okay, I will tell, because I don't want to die here. I even told them, if you want to say United States is Azerbaijan, I'm ready too. So no worries. Brazil is Azerbaijan, Egypt is Azerbaijan. Take everything, I'm ready. So yes, I said, then it was President of the United States, who was it? Not Biden, before Biden. Who was it?
It was Trump. Donald Trump, by the way. Before that, it was Obama.
Trump. Yeah, Trump once again. Yeah, that's what Trump. So I told him, call Trump and tell him Lapshin said, okay, take America. So Azerbaijanis told me this is not funny. So you have to be serious, because this is political game. And but for some reason, I was taken a few times to the court, but at the very final day of the judgment, when it was supposed to be a decision of the court, I was assaulted by 4 masked men in a solitary cell. So 4 guys entered my cell in the middle of the night. I was sleeping. They entered inside in balaclava, like balaclava with the false
ear. Yeah, I know it.
So I couldn't. Yes, like balaclava, like special forces,
Yes, I know
so
it.
entered.
When they want to rob a bank, they place it when they want to rob a bank.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Lapshin, I want to ask you. You are a citizen of Russia. If you were, let's assume now. Let's imagine now that you were a citizen of the USA. Do you think that in this situation you would have enjoyed some support, because clearly you were isolated and you were left alone. You were abandoned, it seems. Because in these cases, did the Russian government interfere and exercise pressure to release you? Because I think that if you were a citizen of some Western country, I don't think that this would be your case.
Honestly speaking, actually, Russian Federation supported me. So even Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, he talked a few times in the press conference, and he said, so we want Alexander Lapshin to be released. So honestly speaking, yes, Russians supported me. Even Putin, I think one time he talked about my case. But unfortunately, there is a kind of game between Russians and Azeris because they, because
so
they
you were a victim.
allies.
So Mr. Lapshin, you were
Yeah.
in the wrong place in the wrong time, and you were clearly a victim, a scapegoat of this situation. Let's.
Yes.
But I believe that I want to ask you some political questions. Do you think that I want your evaluation now? Artsakh is gone, and some politicians in Armenia told us that Artsakh is a burden, and if we solve this case and and if we give up this case, Armenia will prosper on economical and social ground. But the situation in Armenia is a tragedy. It's hell. We enjoy the economy. The revolution came and things got worse. We lost Artsakh. We lost our economy. We lost our tranquility, our stability, and we are in some sort of undeclared war in which Armenia loses ground every day. It is on the retreat every day. Why did you say that if Armenia lets go of Artsakh, there is a great chance that it will perish itself? And how do you evaluate the situation of Armenia today? Because it clearly Armenia is in such a dire situation, and it might lose its statehood for good. I want your evaluation because I know that you followed Armenian case and you have romanticism towards the Armenian case. Maybe I'm not saying that you are biased towards us, but of course you feel some sympathy towards Armenian situation today.
Yeah, I can bring you one interesting example. I will explain what I think. I think on December 2019, which means 5 years ago, I had a meeting with Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan of Armenia.
Okay.
And why? I will tell you why I met with him. Because when I was in Azerbaijani jail, he was the only politician who actually supported me. This is strange. It sounds strange. I know it sounds strange, because it was before the revolution. It was 2017. The head of Armenian state was Serge Sarkisyan, who never supported me. But for some reason, I don't know why, but Nikol Pashinyan, who was the head of the opposition party, actually supported me. Nikol Pashinyan and another guy, Edmond Marukian. Edmond Marukian, two of them. So two of them actually walked to the embassy of the Republic of Belarus in Yerevan and protested just in front of the embassy. They said, bring Alexander Lapshin home. So freedom to Alexander Lapshin. So they just supported me. And we can find it in YouTube, these videos. So when I was released, I traveled to Armenia once again, and I just wanted to meet with Nikol Pashinyan, who was already prime minister. I just wanted to meet with him and just to thank him, to say thank you so much for your support and to shake his hand. That's it. Very simple. And I wasn't such strong in Armenian politics, so I didn't understand about old government, the current government, and so whatever. I'm just a tourist. So I was able to meet with Nikol Pashinyan. It was economical forum in city of Gavar on Sivan Lake.
Mm-hmm.
I traveled to Gavar and I met with him. So we talked with Nikol Pashinyan about 40 minutes. There were like a few people around us. It was current mayor of Yerevan, Avinyan. It was Nikol Pashinyan, Avinyan. Current ambassador of Armenia to Ukraine, Vladimir Karapetyan, I think, ambassador to Ukraine, and then he was press secretary of Prime Minister, and few other people. And we talked with Nikol, and he told me, he asked me, how was it in Azerbaijani jail? So I said, of course, it was bad experience, so I almost dead. And then I asked him, Mr. Prime Minister, how was it in Armenian jail? Because Nikol spent 1.5 years in Nobrashin jail in Yerevan.
Yes, that's true.
So it was kind of, he was smiling. He said, jail is bad. And then he told me, look, he said, look, I want to tell you something. He said, you know that the situation in our region is very complicated. And Armenia in a very bad state of economy, and people live under Armenia, and we're surrounded by enemies, and we're under blockade from both Turkey and Azerbaijan. I said, yes, of course I know. I studied more or less Armenian history, I know. And he said, we have a problem of Nagorno-Karabakh, because Nagorno-Karabakh Artsakh was never recognized by the world countries. I said, of course I know. And I told him, look, man, even Armenia refused to recognize independence of Artsakh for some reason. Not the previous government of Serge Sarkisyan, not the government of Robert Kocharyan, not now. He said, look, this is a very complicated question. He said, we're just a very small country, small, poor country, surrounded by enemies. So he said, we just can't play our own game because we're under pressure of Russian Federation from one side, from Turkey from another side. We have issues with European Union. So he said, we're very weak, and we have to think about how to survive. So I asked him, what do you mean? He said, look, within a few years, we will have to surrender some parts of Artsakh to Azerbaijan. He told me just in a straight way. But actually, it wasn't a kind of secret, because I think Nikol Pashinyan always talked about kind of peace agreement around Artsakh. It was nothing new. I said, yes, I know, because it was many times published in the media, that Armenia is going to sign kind of peace agreement with Azerbaijan to decide of the future of Artsakh, etc., etc. So he said, yes. So he said, next year, or after maybe a maximum of 2 years, there were some developments around Nagorno-Karabakh. So, and then I told him, look, Nikol, I told him, look, you're prime minister, I am just a simple journalist. I am even not Armenian. But I told him, look, I think, I can understand you, because as a prime minister, you want prosperity of Armenia. You want to stop the blockade. You want to open the borders with Turkey and Azerbaijan. You want to receive investment and tourists, and you want to develop your country. I can understand it. But I told him, think that this is just your thoughts, because Azerbaijanis and Turks, they have different goals. They won't just destroy Armenia. This is very important. To destroy Armenian statehood. You want to sign peace agreement, but you cannot sign peace agreement with the people who came to kill you. That's the point. So he said, look, we have guarantees from Europe, from United States and Russia. And I told him, I don't believe in guarantees from Russia or United States. I don't believe this. So, but what can I do? After 1 year passed, we had 44 days war. And most of Artsakh was occupied by Azerbaijan. And 2 years ago, September 2023, we lost Artsakh totally. And we have 120,000 refugees. So unfortunately, this is very bad story. And unfortunately, Armenia lost Artsakh, but we still don't have any peace agreement with Azerbaijan and Turkey. So Armenia now even weaker than it was before. And this is really bad. I feel really bad.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, before our interview, you also told me that you know you cannot enter the Russian Federation. How come and why? May I ask?
Oh.
Or you don't want to talk about this?
No worries. I cannot enter Russia anyway, and now I'm in Armenia, so no worries. Look, first of all, I have troubles with 3 countries, with Belarus, Azerbaijan, and Russian Federation. So, concerning Azerbaijan, you know my case, because I was arrested and then I was released by Azerbaijan, but Azerbaijan is expected that I will keep low profile.
Yeah.
But instead, I applied to European Court of Human Rights against Azerbaijan and to the United Nations, Committee of Human Rights of United Nations, against Azerbaijan and Belarus. And I won both judgments. And Azerbaijan and Belarus were found guilty by illegal arrest, torture in a jail, and attempt murder, because I almost died in the prison. So I was awarded with the compensation from both Belarus and Azerbaijan, but actually they didn't pay. They didn't pay. They didn't pay. No, even not one Armenian dram or euro. They didn't pay. They refused to pay. So I had to receive from Azerbaijan 35,000 euro, but they didn't pay, and $100,000 from Belarus, and they didn't pay too.
So may I ask, so if you cannot enter Russia, you cannot enter Belarus naturally, where do you stay? May I ask? Or you don't want to talk about this?
Oh, no worries, no worries. I can
I don't want to ask you a question that will jeopardize you, because I know that your situation is sensitive. I am trying to be cautious here.
No. Look, my case is well known, so I have no secrets, secrets. So I just traveled between Armenia and European countries, and now I applied for refugee in France, and we received refugee status in France. So hopefully, how we say, inshallah, in September or October, I will move to France. But I will travel to Armenia anyway. So I have a lot of work here in France, and I want to support Armenia anyway, regardless of the place I will live. But I want just to stay in a safe place for my family. Sure. We have a small children and my wife, and that's it.
Sure. Mr. Alexander, I want to ask you, this experience, did it motivate you or push you to become more political and follow political analysis more? Because I know that you have a very sharp political analysis. It did. Did this situation...
Sorry, could you please repeat? Sure. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm asking you if what took place with you did motivate you and push you to be involved more in politics and political analysis, to follow politics more?
Yes, of course. Because before I was arrested 8 years ago, I never interested in politics, never interested. And nowadays, I can't just continue my normal life, because after I experienced and after I studied about the history of Armenia and history of this conflict, I met a lot of miserable people and refugees and families of Armenian soldiers who were killed. I witnessed a lot of terrible things. So I can't just continue just traveling around the world and to go to South Africa and Brazil and to take photos of the churches on different rivers. This is not interesting anymore for me. I want just to take a part in human rights activities.
So and that's what I do. That means that when I introduced you as the Julian Assange of Armenians, I was correct.
Look, I don't think too much about myself. I am just a simple guy.
I want to feed your ego. I do that. Be careful, because by me myself, I have a big ego, and it is very easy for anyone to feed my own ego. So I am trying to do the same to you. Anyway, I want to ask you. I am sure that you follow the politics. Donald Trump, as we heard, I'm not sure if this information is true or is just a propaganda. I have heard that Donald Trump described Putin as a crazy man, and told and stated that if Russia wants to occupy the whole of Ukraine, it will lead to the devastation of Russia. Did you hear this news? And how do you evaluate this kind of news? And how do you evaluate the Russian-Ukrainian war? Clearly now, Russia was humiliated, but it won. If we want to be objective, without any emotions, if we want to be logical, I think that Russia was humiliated, it lost face, but eventually the biggest loser was Ukraine. And as a direct war, Russia won militarily, but on the bigger picture, it lost, because I don't think that anyone will be interested in buying Russian weapons anymore.
Look, first of all, my relations with both Russia and Ukraine very complicated, because originally my family from Ukraine, from the city of Lvov in Ukraine. This is Western Ukraine. So during the Soviet times, I think actually the Second World War. So my grandmother. She moved, because of the war, she moved to the today's territory of Russia, to the city of Yekaterinburg, Sverdlovsk, this is in the middle of Russia. And then I was born already in Russia, but I have Ukrainian roots and Russian roots too. So my father is Russian, and my mother is from Ukraine, actually. Ukraine.
They fight a lot.
Ukraine and Poland.
So they fight a lot today
So-
nowadays.
Yes. It's more like I don't know which example to bring you. Just imagine some guy whose father is from Iran, is his mother from Israel. So how can he live? And he has two passports, Israeli and Iranian. And in my case,
you have the passports.
I have Ukrainian and Russian.
So you have
I have two passports.
Three passports.
Huh?
Belarusian also?
No, I have nothing to do with Belarus.
Russian, Israeli, and Ukraine. Okay.
Yes. As for Belarus, my wife is from Belarus, not me.
My
wife is Belarusian.
Like the United Nations.
Yes. So based on the law, I have to go to war based on the Russian law and Ukraine. If I go now to Russia, they will send me to war. In the same case, if I will go to Ukraine, they will send me to war. This is unbelievable. And they have relatives, in Moscow, and they have relatives in Kiev. And unfortunately, because of the war, most of my relatives just stopped to communicate with each other. So my Russian relative, they were in really good family relations with my relatives in Ukraine. So we were just one family. I don't know which example to bring you. It's more like, I don't want to touch the topic of the Middle East, but it's more like Christians of Lebanon who cooperated with Israel during the war or something. And then everything is changed. The same here, the same situation.
Let me tell you that's a tough situation. Lebanese did not cooperate with Israel. This is not accurate. What took place that the knife was at the Christian neck, and just Israel was there, and they didn't want to die. They were about to perish. So let me give you tips. In the Lebanese war, there are a lot of misconceptions. The Lebanese Maronites did not cooperate either with the Syrian occupation or the Israeli. What took place, but in both situations, the Palestinians and the left were about to make the Christians perish. So when the Syrians entered, we didn't want to die. And Bashir Ismail martyred because he refused to sign a treaty with the Israelis. So the world thinks that the Christians, Maronites of Lebanon, were some kind of agents of Israel. This is not true. This is a historical misconception by the Bolshevik regime of Syria. Anyway, please go ahead. Because I'm Lebanese, I know the history very well.
So Russia and Ukraine, more or less, this is the same nation. More or less the same nation.
This is what I want to ask you. This is why I don't ask you.
Almost the same language.
I want to ask you this, religion. Alexander.
Yes.
What I know that Ukrainians are in fact the pure Russian race, maybe, and the Russians are more of they are mingled with other races. So as I've heard that the Russians and Ukrainians and Belarusians are Lord Russians, but Ukrainians maybe stayed on race-wise more pure as Russians. Is this true? Or they are different races?
Look, when I was born in Soviet Union, we were the same country, the same huge country, biggest in the world. It wasn't any, it was all the same. Even today, most of the Ukrainians, they speak Russian. I'm not talking about they know Russian. I mean, Russian is the native language. So they speak Russian in the families. Most of the Ukrainians, I would say 70% of the Ukrainians, they speak Russian at home. So, yes, but official language is Ukrainian. And Ukrainian and Russian, it's very similar. I would say it's more like Arabic in Lebanon and Arabic, let's say, in Libya or something. Okay. So you can feel
no, it's
it.
Quite different. Let me tell you, Syrian and Lebanese are very close, and Jordanian. But the Libyans and the Moroccans speak a totally different language. Yeah. And
but you can understand it. You can understand it.
No, it's very difficult.
Yes, but you can understand it. I would say 80% of the world is the same. So you can understand it. The same as Ukrainian language. Most of the Ukrainians, they speak very bad Ukrainian because they speak Russian. Yes, yes. And today the official language of Ukraine is Ukrainian. And most of the people, they don't speak Ukrainian. So this war is very artificial. This war between almost the same nations. So there are millions of Ukrainians who live in Russia, and they feel like Russians. So the same like me. I don't know if you ask me what is my nationality. This is a very difficult question for me because I was born. Half of my blood is Ukrainian, but I was born in Russia. And my native language is Russian. So, but still I have family in Ukraine. So this is really horrible. But actually this war, as I told you, very artificial. And you have like two main powers. So on other side, we have European Union and United States and Canada and Australia. And from other side, we have Russian Federation, China, Iran, and I believe like Central Asian ex-Soviet countries, and Turkey. Turkey is a little bit, no, Turkey is so-so. Yeah. So Turkey tried to play games on here and there at the same time.
I think that they are the greatest benefiters. We still have 7 minutes. I want to ask you, do you think that the West misbehaved with Ukraine? Do you think that they played a very bad game with Ukraine? And don't you think that if we want to be fair and objective and talk from both perspectives, the real guilty one is Russia because it attacked a peaceful nation. On the other hand, the NATO gave a promise to Russia that it wouldn't expand to Eastern Europe, and it expanded until it reached Georgia and Ukraine on the borders of Russia. So we still have 6 minutes. I know that there are many guilty parties. I know that Putin is very guilty. I know that Zelensky is very guilty for miscalculating incredibly like an amateur. I know that the West manipulated and pushed Ukraine and left it halfway. And Donald Trump, I think, was very arrogant with the way he behaved with Zelensky. We have 5 minutes. Who is the greatest guilty party and who is the greatest loser? We have 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Yes. So first of all, Russia accepts all of the ex-Soviet countries as the territory of the influence. So Putin regime, they think that Soviet Union should be re-established once again. So when we say Ukraine, Armenia, Kazakhstan, I don't know, Azerbaijan, so based on the opinion of the Putin regime, they think this is the same country. So they do not accept any any links, any independent politics of the ex-Soviet countries with the West. So Ukraine tried to develop independent politics, and they applied to the European Union association project perspectives with the European Union. So Russia didn't like it. So Ukrainians stopped to buy Russian weapons, and they started to buy weapons from the United States and Europe. So they tried to build fully independent country, I mean Ukraine. So Russia didn't like it. Basically the same with the Republic of Georgia. Do you remember 2008? It was the war between Georgia and Russia. Yeah. Around Abkhazia and Ossetia. Two regions, yes, and two regions. Regions that occupied, but Russia till nowadays it was occupied. So Russians tried to destroy any independent movements in ex-Soviet countries. The same in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. The same exactly. So basically the same situation in Armenia. Armenia today tried to build their own politics and to establish, political and economical ties with all the world, including Iran and European Union and Russia and China. But Putin doesn't like it, unfortunately. And all the games around Artsakh, this is the way to manipulate with the Caucasus on the Russian side. So when Artsakh was existed, it was a good tool to to put pressure on both Azerbaijan and Armenia. Today, unfortunately, we lost Artsakh. And with Artsakh, Russia, fortunately or unfortunately, lost, pressure tool on Armenia. So today, Armenia is very weak. But today, at the same time, Armenia weak, but much stronger than before. This sounds strange, I know. This sounds strange. But today, it's very difficult for Russian Federation to play games with Armenia because Armenia already lost everything. So there is nothing to blackmail with Armenia. Well, that's the point.
Mr. Lapshin, thank you for a very spontaneous and natural interview. You have to excuse me. I don't run the interviews in the traditional fashion, seriously or in a dogma. I do it in a much friendly way, and I'm sure you didn't mind because I sense that you have a, let's say, flexible character. I thank you because
Thank you so much.
You are someone who paid the high price for the Armenian cause, not because you are biased toward the Armenians, but because your ally is justice and righteousness. That is why I salute you, and I hope that all your legal troubles will be perished. And I hope to see you always and often in Armenia. Thank you very much, and we will meet soon when you return from your journey. I hope to meet you in person once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Goodbye.
very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.